Hello everyone and welcome to Simply Learn Programming. Today's topic will be Java. It will be the primitive types in Java. This is a really important programming concept for new programmers or for everyone who wants to learn programming. So the main primitive type in Java, which we're going to see today, is variables. So there's all kinds of different types of variables, but I'm not going to show all of them, but I'm going to show the main ones that every new programmer will use. Basically, if you had no idea what it was, this will introduce you into them. So variables, those are, those are things in which you can um, put values into them. For example, integers are numbers. They can vary from minus infinity to plus infinity. So that's any number. However, the only criteria is that it should be a real number. It should be a whole number. So it cannot be, for example, you see this one, it cannot be 1.5 or like 1.25. It should be only 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or any number. 0 is also an integer. Keep that in mind. Next one is Boolean. This is basically true or false. This is if you want to know if something is right or not. And the strings is, well, the first time I started learning programming, I didn't have an idea what a string was. It was like super confusing for me. I guess it was only for me, but still. A string, the word I remember it, is just a word, like any type of word. But I'm gonna show you some only that, but that's the easiest type to remember it, because in programming you have all that kinds of numbers, true, false, and this is like the word part. So this is where you can type any sentence or word. And the last variable is the doubles. So remember how I told you that integers cannot be 1.5, 1.6, 2.57, something like this. Well, a doubles is basically numbers with decimals. So you can have multiple decimals into a double variable. That's where its name comes off, actually. Because it's a double, it has more than one integer. So next one is, as I said, integers are just numbers, like any number you can think of, but whole numbers, remember that. And a Boolean, well, it's not that used, but it's also really used, like mediocre used. The Booleans tend to be just a yes or no, just a 0 or 1, just a bird or a fish, just a hole or cold, just top or bottom. Basically two opposite things that can define if something is the way you want it to be or the way it shouldn't be. Like just a true or false. Is this sentence true? Yes or no? Basically that. And what about strings? Oh, they're basically words. The thing you use for strings is quotation marks. So anything, like you're quoting in an essay, for example, anything you want to quote as a string, anything you put between those quotes is a string. Like you can type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, it's going to be a string. It's going to be considered a string. However, you must remember that strings are words. It's basically you type in something in a document. Strings don't do much yet for you, but still they are important. And another thing, as a mathematician myself, is okay, we have variables, like we have values assigned into variables. What are how do we use them? Well, for them, we use operators. For example, if we want to add, we use a plus. If we want to subtract, we use a minus. If you want to multiply, you use the star on your keyboard. And if you want to divide, you use the slash. And an interesting one is the percentage. It's usually a reminder, and it's used for mostly specific type of functions. We're not going to look at it today, probably in a future video. But more you can find on this link, which I'm going to show you later in the end of the video. Okay, how do you assign a value? Well, in specifically the language we're looking today is Java. So the way you can assign a value is first you must type in what type of value we're assigning. For example, here, a Boolean with name result. So this result is basically the name of the variable and it's equal to true. So the type of variable Boolean, the name of it, result, and what it contains is true. So next one is a character. So this is basically like a string, but it's more specific. It's any character. It's any specific character. For example, if you want to add slash or anything between those single quotation marks, it's going to be a character. They have a specific usage, mainly into lists with specific functions, but it is still one of the main primitive Java types and one of the main programming concepts in most languages. So, well, character is basically just a lonely character. That's it. You cannot assign multiple characters as one. A character can be only one. This is a byte, which I've never actually used. I never needed to use. But it's good to know that there is this type. That's short, that's an int. For example, see, you want to assign I, so this is the type of variable integer, int. This is the type of this is basically says home number named I equals to 100,000. That's basically it, written. So if you want to learn more, you can always visit this site, which I suggest you. We're going to look at it at the end of the video. But now I'm going to show you some examples into it. So let me show you a few things first about Java. So firstly, what you want to do is open an online Java compiler. Just write this in Google, it's going to open right away. You can compile online. However, I recommend you to download an application called Anaconda. No, not Anaconda. Sorry. It should be... I'm going to show you the application later, since I'm not sure if I have it installed. Well, right now, I'm going to show you the way that Java works. So basically this, you need it to run the program. I'm not gonna go into more details, but you write code between those scopes, this one and this one. This is where you want to write code. This line right here is the system out print line. This shows you outputs. So for example, if I type in 5, it should give me 5 after I run it. So the system, the Java system, puts out a new line. So print line, ln means line. So the system outputs a new line with 5. So if I run it, it should show, see, it shows 5. If I want to type in a string, or like a double, 5.66, this is a double variable, and it's gonna type in this. So let me show you how to assign variables. So as I showed you right here, you can assign different variables, but you first need to type in the type. So if I want to type int a equals 20, and remember, you must always finish every line of code in Java with those dots, because with a dot and a comma, because this basically says this equal, like the integer a contains 20 and, so this basically ends the line. And if I type in int b contains 30 and end the line, and if I want to, for example, print A. What does A contain? So this prints a new line, A, and it should give out 20. So if I want to type in A plus B, for example, it should show 50, right? Let's test it. Yeah, it shows 50. If I want to be like smarter, you can always do like in C, and C is gonna contain the sum of A plus B. And if we want to see how much C contains, it's gonna be it should show A plus B, which is 50. If we run it, it's gonna show 50. So you can assign any type of variable. Remember, int is the type, C is the name, A plus B, or like 2030, is what it contains. So let me show you about the dot and comma. If we remove this, it's gonna basically mean that this line hasn't ended, and this line is together with this, and it's gonna give out an error. So you should always have a dot and comma at the end of the line. So for example, here, I'm gonna remove the line. And if I run it, it should show an error because Java functions, yeah, see, it shows the exact row that it's missing a dot and a comma. So we should always add it because Java functions in a really specific way. So it starts reading from top to bottom. So it reads first this, then this, then this, then this, and then it reads this. So first it assigns A is equal to 20, then it assigns B, then it assigns C equals A plus B, and then it prints out the line. You cannot, for example, do this. Yeah, see, you cannot do that because C, you cannot type in C because C does not exist here. It first runs this and it checks if there's C before that, because C, for example, the variable C, comes after this line. So if you type in C, so if you type in, I want to print C, but C is not before that, it's going to show you an error because it reads from top to bottom. So first this, then this, then this, then this. And I think that should be enough for the integers. I'm going to show you a double. So for example, if we want to, okay, let me just delete all of this and see double, OP. It just sounds funny. So double OP equals to 2.25. And double 50 equals to 5.55. If we want to, for example, to see the sum of them, we're gonna write OP plus 50, and it should give out the sum of those numbers, which is 7.8. If we want to write, for example, plus 5, it should give 12.8. If we have an integer and a equals to 3, and if we assign it with a, I think, yeah, so you can calculate with them, but it gets tricky when you want to cross between integers and doubles. So I suggest you to just stick with doubles. For example, if you want to add a 3, just put 3.00 and it should still be the same. Because it's really not functional to cross between integers and doubles, because later on it's going to give errors on data types, because each data type should be a different one. So let me do a string. So string, and remember, strings must always be with capital letters because it's an unwritten law, but mostly capital letters. I'll show you in a second. String word equals to, so what should we write here? Some word. Let's write some word. And if we want to print the word, word string, it's gonna show some words. If we want to type in numbers, plus 56 plus 54. For example, what I'm doing now is showing you that a string does nothing. So a string is just text, nothing. Like what's in the string is just text. If we write 56 plus 54, it's not gonna give 110. It's gonna write exactly as we've typed it. So see, it's gonna write this. That's what a string is. String is typing in something in quotation marks. And yeah, basically that's it. You can type in anything like this, dollars, like ads, like this, and if you just run it, it's gonna show the same thing. It's really cool to experiment with, and it's really simple, honestly. It's good practice to know. And the last one is character. Let's say not word, because yeah, because it's not a word. Character not word equals to single quotation marks, this. And if we run it, it should show in. Yes. See the slightest mistake. You should always put the dot and comma at the end. And see, another mistake. It should be in non-capital. See how it glows in red. This means it's a data type in Java. So what I showed you, for example, if I type in string, it shouldn't glow in red. It shouldn't glow in blue because it's not a data type. So if I type in string a equals hello and type in this, it should give an error because this strings must always have a capital. See, if I type in as a capital, it glows a bit. It changes color usually in your code. But yeah, you should always remember that that's why a lot of people don't like Java. So in other languages, they kind of don't care if it's capital or not. But in Java, every letter, every line, every like dots and comma means something. And if you don't type them the perfect way, nothing's gonna work. it's that's why a lot of people don't like Java, but that's why it's also one of the highest paid programming languages to know. But yes, this is what it's used for mainly. So see how it printed not word. So this is a character. If I do this, it should print this. So let me show you the boolean at last. So boolean, yes, equals to true. So this is the type boolean. The name of it, yes, it contains a true variable. So this means it's yes is true. And boolean no equals to false. So let's make a function here. I'm going to show you something interesting. If, so this is a function. This is also essential to programming concept because the if function exists in every programming language in one way or another. So if boolean, if yes equals true, I remember spacebar, curly brackets, enter. So what this means is if the variable yes contains true, and we can do, for example, this system print line, and we're gonna type in yes, it is true. And yes, if we run this, let's see if it does run. See, now what I did here is not good because if else statement, also this, we don't have not word. I think it should work. Yeah, see, if yes equals true, system will print a new line. Yes, it's true. What you can do otherwise else, So what this means, I'm gonna read it to you in a second. It is false. Let me just delete this. Okay. So what this means, this is a function. In Java, it's like a primitive function mostly, but it's used everywhere in every programming language. So it's essential for you to know the if-else statement, because they mainly define the programming language. Because if you cannot prove that something works, you cannot make something else work or the same thing work. It sounds a bit confusing, but let me read it for you. If the variable yes contains true, and in those curly brackets, you can type in anything, like anything you want. Basically, this makes code work. So, but this code here will only work if yes equals true. If I type in false, this will not show. You know why? Because else, so like, look, if yes equals to false, if it, okay, sorry, if yes equals to true, it's gonna run the code here. So it's gonna print the line, yes, it is true. Otherwise, else, this is if else statement. So if this is true, it's gonna run this. Otherwise, which means if yes equals no, but like in any other case, else, it's gonna show it is false. So if we decide to change it to false, so like if yes equals not true, it should type in it is false. See? What else you could do is, if yes equals to a quotation mark, to this, not true. So this basically means not true. This symbol right here. It's really specific. So if I type in this, if yes means not true, so basically this means not. It's another one of those of the operators, and that's a really specific one, which is not in the table, but here you learn it. Accept this as a extra knowledge. But yes, if yes is true, it's gonna say yes it's true. Otherwise, it's gonna run this code. So yeah, that's the lesson for today, since it's a short lesson. I hope I explained this to you in detail so you could remember it. And the next time we're gonna be seeing what an array list is. So let me give you an example. An array list is basically, so if you have int a equals 5, int b equals 6, an array list would be a list of different items. It's like, how they say this, like a shopping cart filled with only lemons. It's really interesting, but otherwise I hope you understood this, and I hope your first lesson in programming was successful. I hope you could understand the primitive types in Java, which is one of the main programming concepts in Java. You could check out these links, which I've shown. Those links show you the operators. This is the operator ring. So see, if you want to learn more, like in depth, you can learn this article, and this is going to show you the operators. Those are the other operators. This is the one I featured just now. This is the logical complement operator. Basically works only on a Boolean. But yeah, the other one is primitive data types, and those are all the data types. I have never actually used the byte. I've used the short really rarely, and the long really rarely, and the float as well. However, if you want to look around more, I'm gonna put those links in the description, and you can check them out more in depth. It's a quick read, like 5 minute read. It shouldn't be too much. They explain this everything in detail in case you haven't understood anything. Like in case you haven't understood something in this video. So thank you everyone for watching, and see you in the next video.